All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be basic tandem instruction, and this is good for a beginner or someone who's advanced, just looking for some tips or things maybe you didn't know prior to tandeming, or if you're still tandeming and just looking for tips to get better at it. I'm going to break that down into 3 easy sections. So it'll be tandem entries, tandem transitioning and timing, and then we'll end it off with tandem line and how to get in the pocket and where to ideally stay when tandeming. How I'm going to do that is we'll talk about each of these sections first, and then I'll use a simulator to basically tandem with another car and explain the pros and cons of each one, how to do them, where you should and shouldn't be, and the dangers of all that could lead to ultimately totaling your car or failure or just not being successful at tandeming. So with that being said, let's get straight into it. All right, guys, the first topic we're going to go over is tandem entries, all right? But before we go into this, I just want to cover one thing that's going to go through all these characteristics and needs to stay in your head at any time you're tandeming, and that's your eyes. I know I talked about this in the basics video and talk about looking where you want the car to go. In tandeming, I've seen people say this incorrectly, and it can get you in a world of hurt or mess your car up. So in tandem, if you're in that comfort zone, which is about 1.5 to 2 cars, or in the same corner, right, the same line, the minute you get outside of that line, you're going to be focusing on the track is going to be in focus, and that car you're tandeming with or now chasing, not really in tandem anymore, you're just doing 2 solo laps, that car is going to be out of focus. What that means is you're paying attention to the track and just trying to drive, and if that guy spins out or you mess up, you're just going to hit him because you're just going to end up surging and not knowing it because you're not paying attention to him, you're paying attention to the track. What you should be doing is staying in that 1.5, 2 car gap, same corner distance. Your eyes should have the car in front of you in focus, and you should be looking through him and past him and have the track out of focus. So you know what he's doing. You can judge rate of closure off the guy in front of you, but you should also understand and know the track. You should have it memorized, what corner's next, where the clips are at, where the zones are at. That way you know what to expect from him. And with all that being said, you need a confident lead driver in tandem. You shouldn't be chasing someone that can barely do a lead line. Ideally, if you're going to go out in tandem, you should be able to already go out and master the track as a lead line and do that lead line several times without spinning out. And then when you go into tandeming, you don't make any changes. If you're the lead car, you don't do anything new. Don't try something new. Don't get fancy and try to enter all crazy. Do what you've been doing all day. That way the chase driver has a consistent lead run and you're not making a bunch of mistakes. With that being said, let's go into the entries now. All right, before I go ahead and show you the entries and how you're going to do them, we already know you're going to use either a clutch kick, a feint, or a handbrake entry, and you're going to use all 3 of those mixed together. It just depends on what the lead driver is doing. Ultimately, what you're looking for as a chase driver in tandem is that lead is going to be dictated just like in solo. It's dictated by the entry corner. So is it picking up speed or slowing speed, accel or decel? And is it a sharp turn, a long turn? What are you trying to do? Is it an outer zone or inner clip? So that's going to tell you where the lead car is going to go. With that being said, based off your car setup and his, that should tell you the speed you're entering at, the angle that's going to be needed, and what the lead car is going to do. So really, you need to understand what the lead guy is going to do on the entry so you can decide yours. Your safe bet when you're starting out is going to be using the e-brake because you can slow that rate to angle until you understand what he's doing. The more aggressive style, staying close with your buddies, jamming out and having a good time, is probably doing that clutch kick feint together, e-brake, set the line, and staying on their door. Don't start off with that. Start out with something easy, comfortable, figure out their line, figure out your line, your speed, engage that until you can work up to those more advanced entries or the more aggressive entries to stay closer in proximity. Don't fall out of that 2 car gap, but don't get super aggressive on the first corner if these are your first couple times tandeming or at a new track. The second thing is how you tandem or how you entry, right? You have trail where you walk in behind each other, so one in front of the other. Then you have staggered. Most tracks are staggered. The benefit to that is the chase driver should be on the inside of the corner. So when you go to enter the corner now, following that lead driver, you already have basically the chance to cut the line because you're on the inside of him. So when he enters, you can enter with him or you can enter just after him where he entered at, but you're already on the inside of him to cut the line and surge into that pocket and get on his line. Now, the opposite is for trail. If you're entering trail, the downside of that is you're a car length behind him already. So the minute he enters in front of you, you're going to have to make up that distance immediately once you guys both enter by either entering at the same time and picking up speed, or once he enters here, he's going to be forward. So by the time he's here, you're not here. Now you enter where he did, but he's already starting to drift and pick up speed. So you're going to have to accelerate even further or surge to get on his line and not lose him on that first corner. So don't make that mistake, because if you get a 3-4 car gap off the start, you might as well just stop, reset, recock it, and go back and do it again. don't make the mistake of just trying to play chase, catch up the whole lap. You're not tandeming. At that point, you're just trying to haul ass to the track and catch up to the guy, which can be very dangerous. With that being said, let's go ahead and break it down now, and I'll show you these entry techniques, staggered in trail, and kind of show the pros and cons while we're doing them on the simulator. All right, on this one, I'm going to use the staggered start again. I'm just going to use the clutch kick to enter with him and try to cut the line immediately to get straight to where he is and match his entry technique if I'm trying to do the same thing he does, because I trust him as a driver, and we'll see how it plays out. And you can see all I did there was feinted with him. And then once he started to pull away from me, I just drove to him, set the line, and then pretty much got to him before we even left that first entry corner. On this one, I'll start in the trail, so just directly behind him. And this one's a little safer if you're newer because it allows you to just kind of enter with him on the line you're used to instead of being kind of offset from what you would typically see or want if you're new to tandems. Just know that if you're starting in trail, he's going to start drifting before you do. So you either wait to where he'd entered at and then enter with him and then pick up the speed to set the line, or as soon as you see him enter and you anticipate it because you know what he's doing, or there's a specific entry cone or a zone because you're doing a comp, then you're going to want to enter this simultaneously with him and shoot into the pocket immediately and don't let him pull away from you. So trail can let you get behind if you're not careful and you don't anticipate what he's doing or know what's supposed to happen. And same thing with this one, I'm going to use whatever technique I need as far as clutch, handbrake, to be able to stay with him on the entry because I don't know what he's going to do. So he feints in, and it let me stay with him that time, so I stayed trail. I just kind of surged the line as soon as we entered to not get away from him, to not let him get away from me and kind of run away on that first corner. All right, now that we know how to enter, let's talk about the transition. So we already have a video on transition techniques, so I'm not going to go into that. Just understand that the transition in a chase driver is basically going to be dictated by the lead driver. So when you're going to transition is dictated by him, and the timing is kind of on you of how aggressive or lazy you want to be on that transition. With that being said, understanding that the closer you are to him into the corner, the better you are, right? Because you're not falling behind him, you can transition with him. As you get to the exit of that corner, you need to make sure you back off that lead driver and allow him room to transition. If you don't, what's going to happen is he's either going to hit you on transition or you're going to get choked up, and now your line is going to end up going wider, and you're going to go off track and either hit a wall or just blow off the track in general because your line's going to end up being wider. So as you come out of the corner, make sure you back off them around that rear tire or rear bumper area so that when he transitions, you can immediately transition with him, which gets me into my next point of aggressive versus lazy transitions. So when you're just starting, I probably, if you don't drive your solo laps with aggressive transitions, I probably wouldn't do it in chase of a tandem or in lead for that matter. So if you're trying to stay close to them, obviously you want to anticipate that turn, which comes by knowing the track, where he's going to go, and experience and trusting that lead driver. If I know he has to fill this zone, I know when he should transition, I'm going to anticipate that. And as soon as I see his car start to move for the transition, I'm going to immediately clutch kick or power over and make my car transition just as fast as he is, because I know, just like an entry, he's ahead of me on the track. So when he enters, I enter, I'm already behind him technically and have more ground to cover. So when he transitions, I'm behind him. I'm going to naturally lose a little bit of distance. He's going to pull away from me. So as he transitions, I try to time it with him. I'm immediately going to pick up speed, get back into my pocket, and then stay with him. Now, the pocket that I'm talking about when it comes into the transition is just staying slightly behind his front tire. You can get with it if you want to, but you should be there early in the corner and then slightly behind his front wheel. As you get further to the exit of the corner, you got to back up so he can transition and you don't get choked off that track. All this comes down to experience and just understanding the dangers of how close you get, whether you choke yourself up or not. Lazy, all I'm trying to say is you're not using advanced techniques to transition, right? You're just using the throttle and cleverly powering over. That's fine. Just understand you're going to have to catch back up once he transitions if he's driving very aggressively in the lead. So understanding what he's doing is going to dictate kind of what you need to do to stay with him. But you can use any of the transition techniques based off your driving style to make that happen. And I'll show that next in the video of getting choked up and or falling too far behind or surging or transitioning lazy versus aggressive. So let's go ahead and show those real quick, and then we'll get to the last point. All right, the first transition I'm going to do is just being too far away, right? Showing how they get distance on me, how it can be dangerous. So I'm going to let them get some space here. And right now, I'm probably still in a safe bet. I'm about one car behind. I'm still in the same corner as him. I'm not getting outside of one corner behind the car. So I'm keeping that car in focus and the track's out of focus, so I know what's going on with him. And I'm really driving off of him, not the track. Now, if I let him get away from me, he's transitioning, now I'm transitioning. I'm basically a whole driving technique behind him. The dangers of that, like I was talking about, is I'm not going to be focusing on him anymore. I'm really just looking at the track and driving my own line, and I'm just kind of following him. So take it for what it is. Don't get your feelings hurt, but you're really just doing 2 solo laps at this point because you're not tandeming. You're not doing the same thing at the same time, right? In tandem. The dangers of that is anything he does wrong with me being this far behind, it just leaves it up for me to look how fast I'm closing. If he messes up right now, you're just going to plow into him. You're not going to have time to react. So staying too far is just going to be bad because you're just going to be trying to catch up the whole time, meaning you're driving faster until you eventually just overshoot it and hit him, or he spins out and then you T-bone him, when realistically, if you were close together, it would have never happened. So the second lap, I'll show you being too close and being stuck in that pocket too long and not backing off of them. So I'm going to wait to this long corner here, surge up and get closer to him. And then I'm going to stay very aggressive up in this pocket. So if I don't back off on this transition right now, look what happens. I'm late and it's forcing me wider and I'm getting pushed off the track because I had to wait for him to transition. So you got to think of what's happening with the track as we continue that same direction to the opposite side of the track. All I'm doing is it's causing me to run out of space. So if I stay stuck there and I run out of space, it's going to make me transition later, which is going to throw me off that track to where I run into something or I just have to stop drifting. So that's one error. The other error could be he hits you because you're staying in the pocket and his front end comes over. So depending on how late you back off or how he transitions, he could hit you in that transition instead. So I'll kind of show you what that looks like, and then we'll move on. All right, so staying too close one way just allows me to go off track, but the opposite could happen if I get up there and I stay very close. Now he's gonna end up coming across. I wait for him to try to fix it, but you can see I'm really almost coming out of drift. Now in this one, I'm gonna get up there again, and you see how he hits me. So if I don't get out of that pocket, I risk the danger of either A, the lead driver hitting me, B, me getting choked up and going off track or hitting something because it throws my line even wider. So being too close can be just as dangerous, but there's a trick to that we'll talk about on the next technique when we get into line and kind of set in that pocket. All right, on this one, I'll demonstrate lazy versus aggressive transitions. So you think lazy, you probably think like the technique we talked about with regular transitions, right? Using no e-brake, no clutch kick, no input, just kind of just using the throttle. You think aggressive, you think I'm probably mixing them because I'm trying to surge. So depending on what you're trying to do, it kind of dictates it. Also, like I was explaining, the confidence in that driver, right? So if I want to stay close and stay on his door, I'm going to have to do an aggressive one. So an aggressive one, I'm anticipating him and clutch kicking it over, getting back to him immediately on the corner, and then staying there. Anticipate, because I know he's going to transition since I know the track. Anticipate it again, and now you see how I'm staying with him. I'm clutch kicking. I'm using that throttle to catch up to him. I'm oversteering the car. I'm doing all the inputs that I can to stay ahead of him and not let him pull away from me. So that's kind of being an aggressive transition to stay with the driver. Now, if I do a lazy one, so let's go to lazy now, I'm going to kind of back off, and I'm just going to wait for him to transition because I'm not paying attention. Now I transition to a clutch kick and he pulls away. I surge back in. Every time I do a lazy transition, all that's going to allow to happen is him to get a distance on you. And by lazy, I just mean that you're not maximizing your skills to stay with him. It's fine when you're starting out, but just note, to get better, you're going to have to anticipate what he's doing, or else you're just going to always fall behind. So I'll do one more lazy one where I just transition after him. You can see I just start falling back, and I'm naturally wanting to close because it's just what I'm used to. Let me back off of him again. All right, so lazy, I'm just going to let him go before me. Okay, he transitions. All right, now I need to. And then he gets away from me. I'm catching up late in the corner now because of it, which is a dangerous thing to get into. He transitions and I transition. So it's constantly just throwing off my line, and he's just slowly pulling away from me. So it's not necessarily bad because you're gaining distance, but that's somewhere to start. Just know that you have to stay with him. You're going to have to anticipate everything he does and understand the line of that track. Okay, guys, the last topic we'll end it out with is just understanding the line in the pocket. So I kind of discussed it in transitions, but that pocket, right, is where you want to be at the minute you transition or enter, and that's as close as you want to be to him, whether it be 1 car, 1.5 car, or right up on his door. But you want to get there sooner than later. So that usually requires a surge if you have a gap, or accelerating to catch up to his line, and then you set that line. So when you close the gap on him, once you're there, you can't keep picking up speed. So you need to immediately check that speed, which could be an e-brake or left foot brake to hold the car back, or just clutch in for a second. It just depends on how much grip you have, how much grip he has, and how fast you're going and how fast he's going to pull away from you still. So understanding when you get in that pocket just behind his front tire, once you set that line, you're going to have to set it and pick up his speed and then stay with him. If you wait too long, he's going to pull back away again, and now you got to do it again the next corner or pick that speed back up. And it kind of comes that slinky effect to where you dive in on him, but then you wait too long to light off and he's already pulling away again, so now you fall back. So you come in like this, and then he falls back and pulls again. So understanding that you want to get in the pocket sooner than later by surging or setting the line, or just stay with him on the transition. Now, the line is dictated by the track or the lead driver. It's always going to be, but that pocket is what matters for you. And I use the same thing all the time if I'm going to catch up, right? I surge, I set the line, and then I light off. Just make sure you don't choke yourself, because if you choke yourself on the line, you're always going to have to surge the next corner to catch back up. Now, when we talk about holding the line, once you're in that pocket with them, left foot brake, if you're around the same horsepower or have not a lot of grip dialed in, the left foot brake can just kind of hold you back if not a lot of pressure, so you don't add too much angle, but it'll keep you right in the pocket as you go through the corner. The handbrake allows you to set the line or check the car up, right? So that surge, if I hit the handbrake, I basically stop the rear wheels from spinning. It grips up and it stops me exactly where I'm at, setting the line in my previous videos. And now you're setting it the line on him with the tandem and stopping you from surging into him. But once you do that, you got to get back off. Now, the handbrake is used a lot more in high horsepower cars. Like if you have a lot of rear grip and a lot of horsepower and you're chasing someone, you might not be able to slow that wheel speed enough because of your grip level to hold the car back. And you'll see this in kind of a lot of comps where you have a high horsepower car versus a low horsepower car. You'll see them e-braking a lot in the chase because they keep checking the car up. They can't left foot brake because they're still going to outrun them and just going to add angle and kind of wanting to drive through them essentially. So they're going to use the e-brake to just kind of stay with them, check the car, stay with them, check the car. They're just kind of checking it on that same line. That is a technique, right? That's what you have to do depending on how your car is set up. If you're trying to have fun, don't make it super grippy, and don't go with cars like that and not be prepared to use that technique. Also understand that's going to be really hard on your axles and your driveline if your stuff's not built doing that, since you're stopping the wheels and then immediately braking traction again quickly and a lot in one corner. You're better off using the left foot brake if it allows you to stay in that pocket and not keep trying to drive through them or slow your wheel speed enough that you grip up. So that's really all line in the pocket is. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the line and pocket, and I'll discuss that with a few runs real quick, and then we'll end it out with just common mistakes and errors. All right, on this one, we'll talk about the pocket and the line now. So we talked about how to transition, how to enter, so we know how to get with him and we know how to transition with him, but how do we stay with him? To stay in that kind of 1 car, 1.5 car gap, so we're in the same corner. So the line is wherever the lead driver goes, what should be dictated by the line of the track, right? The outer zones, inner cliffs. You should have that memorized before you tandem. So I know what to expect him to do, so I'm going to anticipate that to stay with him. Now, when I get to surging, I'm going to surge, use that left foot brake, e-brake to kind of reset my line with him so I don't surge into him, and then just stay with him. And you're going to slowly make up that ground as you go until you're back on his line and you can maintain whatever he's doing. So the left foot brake allows me to slow down the front wheels like we talked about before, but keep the rear wheel spinning so I don't stop drifting, but I'm kind of holding the car back. The e-brake allows me to set the line because I'm surging, set it on his line, and then I light back off. All that's doing is allowing me to check the car up to stop trying to go past the line that I need to get to stay with him. Same thing, e-brake, set the line, and then just hold it back with the left foot brake. All right, now let's talk about staying in that pocket and when to get there. So the pocket is, like I said, about that 1 tire behind his front tire. You should be in it early and then back out of it towards the end. You don't want to get into it late because then you get the risk of getting choked up or hit. So I surge in, set the line with the e-brake real quick, and I'm holding it back with the left foot brake. If you're really gripped up, you're going to have a problem chasing a slower car. That's where you see people using the e-brake a lot because they have to keep the rear tire spinning because they have so much grip. They can't really use the throttle or the clutch. You're going to see him get in, and you're going to see him just keep pumping that e-brake to stay with him. because they have so much rear grip and so much front grip, they can't afford to hold the car back with the left foot brake. It's still going to drive past them, and they can't afford to slow down the rear wheel speed or the car will grip harder. If you have a close to their horsepower or grip level car, you can just use the left foot brake to hold it back, which this next corner will be good for. Anticipate his transition, surge it, and now I set in with him and just sit on the left foot brake to hold on his line, because I don't really need to set the line because I didn't surge past his. And I'll just do a lap, kind of tying them all together, right? So the entry technique, the transition, and I'll let him get ahead of me for a few. I'll be lazy, I'll be aggressive, and just kind of mix a bunch of things together in. Okay, guys, that wraps up the video. I hope you guys learned something with basic tandeming, or something you can take to the track and have a better understanding with, or something you just think about when you go to the track or even on the sim, like maybe I should try this, maybe I shouldn't do this. What are the dangers, right? I talked about some of the stuff in the front about your eyes. The biggest one is overconfidence, man. Don't don't think you need to tandem. If you can't go out there and do 3, 4 straight back-to-back laps of solo, what's the point of even tandeming? I don't want you to lead me if I know you can't go out there and not spin out or not do a solid, good lead line or the bro line, right? Because we're trying to get doors. I'm not trying to compete against you. We're trying to have fun ultimately. Now, the other one is just being new and not ready for it, right? You don't have that experience. Don't try to outdrive your skill set because someone pressures you. With that being said, don't do random tandems, man. I don't know where this new generation came from of like people just jump in and try to follow people. I don't do that. Sure, I have nice cars, but that's just because I like to drive a nice looking car. The other side to that is, why go risk it against your own car? If you don't know what that guy's going to do, why go do it random with him? And the way I grew up in the community, random tandems, like, sure, it's great to tandem, but I'm not going to drive my hardest against someone that I don't know at all, because I don't know what to expect from you. On top of that, part of the fun in tandeming is going back to the pits with your bros and just slapping hands and being stoked because you had a killer lap. So go make that communication in the pits. Go up to them like, hey, man, I've been watching you on track. You want to do some runs, and then go out there with them in a tandem or a chase run, lead, chase, but don't get close. Just kind of drive behind them or drift, but don't get close. Stay at that 2 car distance and just figure out their speed, their line, and their angle. Flip flop, do it again. And then after that, you can just go at it all day because you already know what they're doing. You kind of broke the ice. Don't just go out there and think you're going to go ham with a random guy. That's how your cars get broke, or you break someone else's car and then you're going to feel like shit for it, or you're not going to care, just depending on who you are. But I don't like seeing that at the track. That's just how I am. I wasn't raised that way. I don't try to go out and drive with random people. And if there is someone random in front of me that wants to tandem with me, and I'm just like, sure, I'll give you a chase. I don't push the limits. It's just not worth it to me, right? I don't want to mess up his car if he messes up, or I don't want to mess up mine. And use your etiquette. If you're on grid and you're like, oh, I kind of know the guy, but I don't know if he wants to tandem. We used to always use hand signals. I don't know where that died off, but you just give him a signal car to car, and then 1 means 1, 2 means 2. If he doesn't hold up a number, he doesn't want to do it. Typically, I'll give you the cutthroat if I don't want to. Maybe I don't know you, or maybe something's wrong with my car, or I'm trying to test something. Doesn't mean that someone's being mean. Maybe they're not ready for it. They're actually just trying to be more professional and an adult by saying no, because they either know they're not ready, maybe they're trying to figure themselves out, figure their car out, or maybe they just respect you and your car more. So don't look at it as a negative thing. Think of it as a respect thing on the track. With all that being said, I'll end my rant there. It's just kind of things I see at the track all the time when it comes to tandems and issues that I see happen. But hope you guys learned something. Check it out. I have a giveaway going on for 500 subscribers and 1,000. I'm giving away some parts. There's a link in the description to my Instagram. You can see it. All you got to do is follow the channel, like my Instagram, follow me on there, and comment on one of my videos on here, and you're entered. It's free parts, man. There's no gimmicks for it. And I'll be doing more stuff along the way as well. And I got a lot of nice content coming out that I haven't really talked about yet because I don't want to give it away or someone try to take it. But there's some new stuff coming outside of just typical drifting or typical stuff that you see on these channels. So stay tuned and appreciate you guys watching. See you next time.